Hello, I'm Reverend Karen Davis of First Christian Church. I might ask myself, is this stool going to support me? Is it going to do what I expect it to do when I sit down? Let's see. Ta-da! I knew, based upon past experience, that I could rely upon that stool to do what it was designed to do. For us as followers of Christ, for us as citizens of the kingdom of God, we can rejoice in that God is faithful, that God is reliable, that we know we can trust and rely upon God's promises. And our passage for reflection this week from Isaiah chapter 61, verses 1 through 4 and 8 through 11. Isaiah is speaking to the people of God as they work to rebuild Jerusalem. They were in a time of rebuilding. They were distraught over the destruction, over the way that things had come to an end, things that they knew. And now they were trying to not only rebuild their community, but rebuild their lives and to have faith in the future. They were in a time of rebuilding, a time of waiting, and in the midst of that, Isaiah is reminding them to be faithful, to remember and to rely upon God's faithfulness, that God is faithful 110%. And Isaiah gives them examples of all that God has done and is yet to do. And in the midst of that they are being challenged to go forth and to do God's work and demonstrate God's faithfulness through their own faithfulness. We find ourselves as well in a time of rebuilding, that not only due to the pandemic, but so many other things happening in our world. A time of reflection on social justice, a time of political upheaval, so many challenges and so many things that cause us to feel unsettled, that cause us to stop and pause and look and reflect and to decide intentionally what we want the future to look like for ourselves, for our community, for our faith community, for our nation, and even our world. And we are challenged to look at and consider what we can do to be part of that rebuilding process. We are challenged to stop and ask ourselves, who is looking to us to be faithful? We look to God to be faithful, but who around is relying upon us to be faithful? What can we do to demonstrate faith and certainty in a time of uncertainty? I invite you to read this passage from Isaiah as the people of God are challenged to pick up the mantle of ministry, to place it on, and to go forth, doing great things in God's name, working together, demonstrating faithfulness, even as God has been faithful to each of us. May we continue to rely upon God's everlasting love and faithfulness, and may we demonstrate it in our words and our actions.